Number 7.
Number 7 is the call to action.
Yep.
Call, click, get out your credit card, click to order now, call this 800 number now, make an appointment with our salesman, what it actually takes to shake hands on the deal and exchange their money for what you're selling.
It is amazing. If you pick up today's New York Times or wherever you are and you go through the advertisements that are there, it is amazing how few people have any call to action whatsoever.
Yeah, I find it amazing. I hear a huge toilet flushing sound when I say that. Some advertising agency has given him a 3-martini lunch and sold him on buying space.
Yeah,
it's very sad.
I'm not a great supporter of newspaper advertising, so I think anybody who can convince their client to buy newspaper advertising is probably pretty creative in the first place. So it's a pity not to follow it through.
Yeah, it reminds me of another old saying where there's an advertising manager sitting around and saying, I know I'm wasting half of my advertising budget, I just don't know which half.
Yeah, I think it's probably more like 90% these days.
Yeah, and I would submit it's the 90% that you're not tracking. If you don't have a way to track which of your advertising pieces are producing which sales, then you probably are wasting your money. Yeah. And even if you're not wasting your money, you'll never know it because you don't have proof.
That's true. Now, so does the same approach work in all communication vehicles? I mean, today we've got our all our digital media, we've got our social media, we've got newspapers, radio, advertising, blog, we've got all sorts of different vehicles to communicate our sales message. Do we use the same message for all of them?
I think the same principles apply. The message needs to be tailored toward the medium itself and what it is you're trying to get them to do. For example, if you're trying to just generate a lead so that you can then follow up with your full sales material, that's one thing. If you're making a direct sale off of a website or a landing page, that's another thing. But I think the same psychology applies. In fact, when Twitter first came out, you have 140 characters to get them to do whatever you want them to do. I said, well, that's just the same thing we used to do pre-internet days with classified ads.
Yeah, exactly.
You had a few words in order to get them to take action to get more information. It's the same thing you're doing on Twitter.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. All right, so they're the things people should do, and just quickly running through them. Do your homework, make them an offer they can't refuse, sell benefits, not features, get their attention, develop their interest, call to action. All right, so what are the biggest mistakes that people make in their advertising?
I think the biggest mistake is they don't follow this process.
Right.
And another thing I would say is that people... their messages are not customer focused.
Right.
For example, a company, if you look at their literature where they talk about, in fact, I would say to your listeners, look at all your marketing materials. How much of it do you spend talking about yourself, your company, how long you've been in business, yep, how many employees you have, what a beautiful location you have, how clean your restrooms are, about the features of your products, instead of focusing on the customer and their needs and the benefits that you can provide to them to satisfy those needs.
Absolutely true.
I would say another mistake is that their messages are not clear.
Yep.
In other words, they're not specifically taking the reader by the hand and leading them all the way through the process we just mentioned, all the way through the call to action. Another thing I would say is that they're not compelling.
Yes.
They're just saying, hello, how are you? We're fine. Here we are. Instead of, like I said, screaming, climb a tree and scream. Figuratively speaking, grab them by the throat, yep, shake them out of the trance that most people walk around in all day and say, hey, listen, what I have to say is very important. Listen to me.
The ones I love are the brochures that have a photograph of their office on which they take on a Sunday so they don't disrupt anybody, with an absolutely empty car park. The parking lot hasn't got a car in it. And it's, jeez, I'd never go there. No other bastard goes there, so why should I? Okay, we're running out of time. I know you've got a free ebook, 7 Steps to Killer Ad Copy, because I now have it. So how can our listeners get a free copy of the ebook?
Really simple. While you have your notebook and your pencil handy, write down this email address. It's a special email address I made up for this offer, and it's the following: poetryman123@gmail. That's POETRYMAN123@gmail. Simply send me an email to that address, and in the subject line say "Send 7 Steps," and I'll send it right back to you.
Great. Russell Phelps, thank you very much for being on the Bob Pritchard Radio Show on Voice America Business. Now, so that they can email you if they got any questions. They can just email you again at poetryman123.
They can email me any questions they have to follow up at that same email address. Or if people like to talk on Skype, my Skype name is RussMan108, RussMan108, and I will respond to your invitation to connect on Skype.
Yeah.